Yeah, by the way, when it comes to me being grumpy about video games, I won't even play Doom Eternal. It just looks so bad. So at least this one, I was interested enough in to try out. Um, Doom Eternal, I'm not even going to try. I'm sorry, anyone who works at id, if you watch this, but it just doesn't, I can't do it. Can I speak briefly on why I don't find Doom Eternal not worth playing? Well, okay. So keep in mind, this is just based on me going on Twitch and watching people play it. So I haven't actually played it, right? And so if I were to play it, my opinions might change. But this is just like what it looks like to me. So first of all, so the thing about it is the company of good graphics, right? Traditionally, that was always what they were known for, the engines being very high tech, and then the graphics being amazing. And again, id used to redefine what video game graphics meant, right? And of course, around the time of Rage, that started to weaken, and then after that, that's kind of been gone. But Doom 2016, at least, I brought that back a little bit. Like it looked pretty good. This Doom game doesn't look as good as Doom 2016. And again, I'm sort of calibrating that for expectations. Like, I've been playing other games and stuff. And so maybe if I went back to Doom 2016, it wouldn't in fact look as good. But relative to other games, Doom 2016 looked pretty good. Doom 2020 does not look that good in a lot of ways. Like, the environment design is all these big cavernous spaces, but without that much detail. So all the creatures, in many scenes, the creatures look like miniatures. Like, it looks like you're fighting Barbie dolls, which is really weird. I can't believe that they were going for that, right? They weren't. So that's kind of weird. There's like not as much participating medium effect. So in Doom 2016, there was lots of like heat, haze, and like atmospheric effects filling the air. And I don't feel like that happens as much in this game. And so I'm not sure why. It honestly looks to me like an Unreal Engine game from years ago, most of the time. Like, there's just a lot of too shiny surfaces, and like whatever technical features they have are not really being leveraged to make a compelling scene most of the time, right? So that's thing one. And I don't know what happened. Like, maybe they lost their art director or directors from Doom 2016 and hired somebody new who like didn't have the experience of that game to build on. I don't exactly know. Thing two about it, so the whole plot part of this game, it's supposed to be like the original Doom 2 or something. Was Doom 2 in the original, the one where you go to Earth supposedly, right? That's supposed to be the plot of this game, but like there's no Earth. Like, in my mind, I was like, oh, it's going to look, if you take some realistic looking environment, like the Call of Duty BR that just came out, but like there's demons there and stuff. But like, that's not what this game is. It's like every level that you look at, if you watch someone play on Twitch, is again, these giant cavernous things that look like Mars Base or Hell. I think I saw for 30 seconds somebody was playing a level that had a subway car, but then it was this big cavernous tunnel. So it's not really on Earth. It's like they just said that. And then you're playing just a bunch of interchangeable Doom levels, right? So that is weird. And then all the cutscenes that I saw and stuff were it's just very generic, like the demons, the summoners. Like, there was this scene in a cultist base, and the cutscenes in the cultist base, the cultists called themselves cultists. Like, all cultists must report to whatever in the cultist base. Like, the cultists called their base the cultist base. Like, what? Like, and maybe that's supposed to be funny, but like, it really wasn't coming across as funny. It was coming across as like, it didn't come across as tongue in cheek. Like even the start of the game, like you supposedly are teleporting to Earth, but you're in like a hell dungeon. I didn't understand what that was. Again, maybe that's not really Earth. Okay. Here's my opening scene, all right, guys. If I wrote Doom 2020, here's what it would be. All right, you ready? Opening cutscene, not really gameplay. You start out, the camera is at Mars. It like makes its way over to Earth. Earth looks totally fine. You zoom in, you zoom in. You're down in like North America or Canada. And you zoom into like, I don't know, Beverly Hills or Hollywood Hills or some rich guy's house, right? And he's like on the phone, kind of being a rich guy dick, kind of like in a Quentin Tarantino movie, right? And the guy is there to install like his Tesla Powerwall that he's been waiting a year for. So he's really testy, right? To the service guy. But it's an Argent energy generator, right? It's like, but it's, you know, it's the Doom universe version of the Tesla Powerwall. And he's like, oh yeah. Finally you're freaking here. And he's like on the phone and talking to the guy. And then he says, oh, Jeeves over here is going to be the guy. I don't get my hands dirty with this stuff. So Jeeves is going to like operate the Argent wall. So, tell him, but I'll sort of be paying attention while I'm on the phone. And he's like arguing, he's like haggling with a car dealer over the cost of a used car or something, right? And he's like, why the hell did it take so long to deliver the Argent wall? I've given you guys so much money in the past. And the guy's like, well, there's like geographic constraints. We have to, for energy balance reasons, we have to actually deliver these to specific places in order, and I'm sorry, but you are living sort of in a place that's a later order, right? And then, while this is happening and he's starting to tell them the instructions on the thing, he gets like a call on his little earpiece and he's like, oh, wait, really? Like, we're ahead of schedule or whatever? Okay. So I should, okay. And, he just pushes the extra button on the little wall or whatever to power it up. And then that starts doing demon summoning stuff and you zoom out and then you see how that's like connected to the other power walls across North America and makes like a pentagram or whatever, right? Because they chose the installation sites. And then Jeeves and the service guy get turned into zombies. And then Doom guy comes through and you fight the zombies. And then rich guy is like, oh, dude, I'm glad you could save me. And then he's kind of your annoying human guy that you have to deal with as you go around the pentagram to like try to shut down all the Argent walls. But the demon infestation gets worse and worse. But you have a progression over the course of the game where in the beginning you're like fighting these guys in a, like an upscale house or something, but that feels human scale and interesting. And then at the end of the game, it's like more like, hell on Wall Street, right? And stuff like that. And you'd have, it would be kind of like Robotron where you have civilian humans who you want to save the last human family, like in the level while fighting the monsters. Now, of course, I think one of the reasons they didn't do that was because the gameplay that they did, they kind of wanted big open spaces, but I just wouldn't have really done that. I would have changed it up a little bit because it doesn't feel good. And the other reason is I think that honestly they didn't work that hard on these things. Anyway, so that would have been my version of Doom 2020 if I had made it. And it wouldn't have as much Mario stuff in it. I mean, the Mario stuff is fine, but it needs to be more integrated into the gameplay than it is. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? So the Nazi America in Wolfenstein 2, right? I played the first Wolfenstein. I didn't play the second one. But that thing that the first Wolfenstein had about returning to the base and like you get to keep seeing different parts of the world, but it's like Earth and it makes sense. That was all cool. And like the Doom game should have done that and they didn't do it. So whatever. So that's what I would have done with that game. Maybe they didn't really work that hard and it might be a bit reductive based on how much design has already been documented. You can't have strafe combat in closed spaces. Yeah, you can. No, the Call of Duty BR totally has strafe combat in enclosed spaces. It's fine. Whoever says that just didn't work that hard on the problem. Plenty of games do it now. Tarkov does it. Call of Duty does it. You can't say things like that. There's too many existence proofs. The other thing about strafe so part of the theory about having the Earth get more destroyed at the end is you have it be bigger and more open as it goes on, because you have big holes blown in walls and whatever. So like having combat be less crazy in the beginning is maybe fine. I mean, again, I can see why you wouldn't want to do that as a designer. But I can see why you would make that decision, but it's just not, like, the world that they made is not compelling. So you got to take some steps to make it more compelling. I mean, maybe you would come up with some human scale or some things that would feel like human things, but that have really big doorways everywhere and stuff. That would be fine. I mean, to be clear, the frickin' vaulty scale stuff that they have is way bigger than you actually need for strafe gameplay, because it goes way, way higher than you need. It's just like they're trying to be impressive a lot of the time. And so I would have toned that down, because it's not impressive if you do it 100% of the time. You meant the particular strafe classic combat they were going for can't be done something like a house. You could. You just change the house around a bit. It's fine. Like, it's a rich dude's house. It's got a big open floor plan with like a big stairway to upstairs. It's fine. You make it work. No, these aren't actual spoilers for Doom, because this is my made up version of Doom. This is not actual Doom. We are not spoiling actual Doom right now. Actual Doom does not have Tesla power walls in it. Also, by the way, lastly, one of the things that seems really disappointing with the new Doom is I think they chickened out on the writing or something. Or maybe it's just not really in there. So like in the demo that they showed way back, it was like a year ago or something, they had like their snippy like hologram recordings that say the funny things when you go by them. And the ones in that demo were kind of like repurposing contemporary immigration rhetoric into something that was funny because it was about demons. So it was like, don't use racial slurs when referring to our new visitors. Please help them be at home, in calling them whatever. And I don't know if most of the stuff that I saw in the game just happened to be not a little bit smart like that, or if they got too much grief on Twitter for it and chickened out and decided to pull that stuff from the game. Because the holograms that I saw when streamers were playing through it were much more neutered than that, you know what I mean? And that's also something that you could have a lot more fun with if it was earlier in the invasion, right? Because it's like, what is the stupid political rhetoric that everybody uses to like justify the hell invasion slowly as it's happening? Like, that could be really funny and really pointed and really interesting. And I don't mean as actual serious political commentary, right? I'm not saying I want them to do actual immigration commentary, because that's like not really funny, but like doing the funny version that you're not really supposed to take seriously, but that's like, but yeah, this is the kind of rhetoric that people would use if it was an actual hell invasion that they wanted to justify. Like, like NAFTA kind of rhetoric or whatever. Like, look, a rising tide raises all boats. Everybody's gonna, demons want to work hard in the factories generating argent energy, just like everybody else. Americans don't want to work in the argent energy factories, like something like that, right? They should have like, and instead I play it and I just see a bunch of like the dominatrix creator, don't stab the heart because we can't control the giant summoned golem. No. Like, like they had such an opportunity, and I feel like they just chickened out. And maybe that's what happens because you're owned by Bethesda. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't played it. I've watched streamers play about an hour of it in different parts. I like flicked around between different streamers and watched them play it. So there might be funny stuff in the game still, but no, it's not. It wasn't Dominatrix Creator, but I can't remember. There's some like, half cyber, half supernatural priestess lady in cutscenes who like is called something Makegear with a Y, or it's like so not good. The problem is if comedy like that doesn't land, it just seems dumb and a bit crude. Well, that's why it has to be good. Yes, when you do comedy, it has to be good comedy. I agree. Do we really trust id to make it clever and not just flat? Well, I mean, some of the stuff in Doom 2016 was pretty funny, and some of it wasn't. And then the hell demon dialogues that were like, and then the Slayer was really mean to the demons. That part was terrible. But I think part of that was that they just did it all. They figured it out at the last minute and did it all at the last minute. And so in a sequel game, you could take the part that was really good and that really worked and like do it right better. And they had good role models. Like basically you want UAC to be like Omni consumer products from RoboCop. Like that is exactly the model. It's the 2020 version of OCP from the original RoboCop, not the new crappy RoboCop. Like you just take that attitude and you do it, right? Yeah, there's too much. The other thing about Doom 2020 is there's just the demon mutilation part. It was too much even in Doom 2016, but they decided that was a successful part of the game and leaned into it. And I don't want to see demon mutilation on my screen for 40 hours. I'm just not interested in it. It's gross. I don't want to put that into my brain. And it's gross that they think that I would be excited enough by that to do the same demon mangling animations for many hours. And in fact, I said that about Doom 2016. If you're able to go back and find the stream, that was exactly my comment about that. And they leaned into it and they have even more. So like, it's gross. And like some of the stuff that was weird and didn't totally work, they didn't really improve. So like the fact that the monsters like glow in a grid, a super bright grid, when it just looked not right in Doom 2016, and it still looks that way. I mean, it looks a little bit better now, but it's still out of place in the same way. Or like the way you do the so-called glory kill or the chainsaw on a monster and he breaks like a piñata and all these things come out, like that was never really that good. But they leaned into it. Like the part of it that was good was sort of about fighting forward and getting resources, but the breaking like a piñata with stuff coming out was never really that good. It was always kind of awkward and kind of not, it was kind of immersion breaking and weird, and they just kept it, right? That's why I sort of say they didn't work that hard. They kept exactly the things that were not totally good without trying to make them better. Anyway, so again, just like I said for Half-Life Alyx, I haven't actually played Doom Eternal. If I played it, I might actually like it. But I just don't want to. So I don't like it. That's my current opinion. Your opinion may differ. I'm not discouraging you from playing the game. I'm not discouraging you from buying the game. Again, it's good to support developers, That said, if you have a limited amount of money and only want to buy the best games, that's probably not on my recommendation list. It's like Taste the Rainbow with Skittles popping out. Yeah, that's what I thought today. That's exactly what I thought. Because they're somehow more colorful in Doom 2020. I was like, it's Skittles. It's just like you burst a piñata and Skittles come flying out. Like, why? Who thought that's a good idea?